Hello everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. K.D. Nair, Dr. Poonam Nair, all the chairpersons here, all the guests here. Thank you so much for being here. So I would like to talk on emotion quotient and how to improve it in a very simple manner, not making it too complex. So let's start with the first slide. What is emotion quotient? So basically, first of all, let's see the word quotient itself. So emotion quotient basically means ability to control, identify, evaluate and express your emotions. So when I use the word emotions, I primarily mean emotions is energy emotions, and you can't have a good EQ level unless you have a good stillness level and awareness level to measure it. The first step is to understand what EQ is and how is it useful. So the primary use of having a good EQ is that it helps you to lead to optimum decisions in life. So optimum decisions is when you have a right blend of feelings and thoughts which lead to good results, good actions and optimum decisions. So improving it itself is talking about the ways to measure it, which starts with awareness, being still, being able to listen to yourself first and then listen to others. So you can't improve something unless you can measure it. So it goes first to yourself and then to the patients or anybody else you are trying to help. So primarily when we are helping someone through EQ, we are trying to first see what is our own emotion level, how are we at that particular moment, what set of experiential emotion set we have, and then use them to help the other person's emotions to improve and evolve. If we can't understand our own emotions, we will not be able to help others to improvise and improve. So if something cannot convince me, it will definitely not convince someone else. So when we are talking and dealing with others, the first step is that we have to see what is that person's state. And this state is primarily completely conveyed to us through the communication level of the person. Maybe verbal, maybe non-verbal. Mostly the people who are dealing with are conversing with us through body language. 95% is through body language primarily. The talks and everything happens much later. So we have to learn to see the breath ratio, the iris division, the movement of the hands, the movement of the fingers, feet, the body language, all of this combined to give us a hint how the patient is feeling and which is the method of improvising it. Go to the next slide, please. So I'll talk from perspective to the patient first because we are talking on a medical faculty basis. So when a patient is coming to you for any kind of treatment, it's like a disaster management scene for the patient. It's like a scene of unknown. So for the normal people who are very well versed in the medical science, they are known to the processes. But for the patient, it's mostly the first time. So they are in a constant state of shock. It's a journey to the unknown for them. So the first step is that you have to make them feel the touch. The touch here means not the physical touch. The touch here means the state that you understand them, the state that they can trust you. Once the patient trusts you, the subconscious, the critical and the conscious layers of the mind starts helping you to reach the right journey, right state and the right occasion for getting the results. So the first step here is that you have to understand the patient and then let the patient feel that the patient can trust you. So this brings us to the point of stress management. So when we are dealing with the patient, we have to learn the process of stress management. And how do we do it? We divide the process. To solve any problem, you always divide it. So the first step is that to see the level of awareness the person is having about the process. Maybe give a small briefing about what is going to happen. That's the first step. Make the person be aware of the processes to be followed. Let's see what is the common overlap between you and the patient. We call it like finding the common interest. It can be something to do with something very silly like discussing the points which the patient has a common rapport with the doctor. It can be something like discussing the common hobbies, or the places the patient has visited, or the location where the patient has studied or stayed. So all this is like rapport building, and this rapport building helps the patient to make direct eye contact, to make direct rapport with you, and this in turn helps you to help the patient in long term. So when the person is in mind state, that's the constant flow of emotions. And when the person is in no mind state, that's the state when the person would trust you and leave you have your emotion quotient work properly. So this brings us to the stages of mind. So mind has 3 stages: conscious, subconscious, and the critical mind. So when a patient or a person approaches you, that person is in state of critical mind. In this state, the person is constantly judging the environment, trying to be having a suspicious object toward the environment. And once a person is in subconscious state or no mind state, that's a state of full trust. So the whole journey is for the emotion quotient and the improvement to lead the person from the mind state to the no mind state. And that's where the critical and the subconscious mind helps. So all the experience of the person so far are stored in the critical mind. So for example, suppose a student has gone to give an examination and is late for the exam paper. That's the first time the person goes through a shock. So the critical mind is trained through the shock. When a person is giving the examination for the first time, it's a shock for them if the person is late. Next time, when the same person is late for the examination, there will not be that level of shock because the experience has already been there. So that's how critical mind is built, layer by layer. So by going through the layer of experiences of shocks, which can be positive shocks and negative shocks, a normal human mind is formed. So that's how we learn to basically train the mind, and that's how an emotion quotient can be seeded in the patient. It may not be a one-session journey, it may take some time, but you have to understand what are the critical events a person has gone through in life and how that can be trained. So to know that, we have to understand what are the shocks a particular patient has gone through in life, and that's where the training starts. So the first feedback a patient gets is from the environment. From the environment it comes to the senses. The senses to the conscious mind. From the conscious to the critical mind, and then it enters the subconscious mind or the subconscious realm. Once it enters the subconscious mind, it becomes an instinct. And something very silly can also become very much instinctive. For example, suppose a student or someone goes to give an interview, wears a blue shirt, and the interview goes very well. And if it starts happening a couple of times, there will be an instant occurrence in the mind that there is a trend of it working, and gradually the person will start wearing a blue shirt or a blue t-shirt whenever he or she goes for the interview. This is a very perfect example of how something very illogically connected can also create critical moments of shocks in the mind. And this can be used for imbibing conscious suggestions in the patient or the person without directly telling the person. And this is called subliminal training. So when we are working with patients, we have to use subliminal training to guide the patient to do how you would like them to behave, but not by direct suggestions, but by indirect suggestions. But to know this and to do this, you must know the shock points of the particular patient. So I come to one of the best methods of mind training, and this is about using the real media and the virtual media. So something real is what we are going through. For example, coming to a conference, it's a real experience. But watching a movie is not a real, it's a virtual experience. Human mind cannot differentiate between real and virtual. Whatever you see, act, touch, taste and sight, each of these inputs creates reality. However, your sight and sound control 70% of what you are doing. So that's why someone who goes to see a sad movie will feel sad, though they know the movie is fake, though they know all the characters are fake, but for them it becomes truth. So you see how perceptions create reality. Like the example of share market. A small news of any elected government coming in power can make the share market fall and rise. It's just pure perception. A company's performance will not change by few minutes of the news. But that's the reality. Every perception builds a reality. When the first appearance of a doctor happens in front of a patient, that's a perception building a reality. So how you appear, your body language, your level of motivation, the way you talk, each of them make as much a difference as the actual thing. That's why the placebo effect works so well. So it's a lot about conditioning of mind. So the mind can be controlled by giving virtual inputs. You see it happening through the advertisements. Another very good example, Suppose you have seen advertisement of a particular soap brand on a television. If you have seen it a couple of times and you go to a supermarket and you see 10 brands and that one of those brands is there shown in the advertisement, your chance of buying it is 95%. So that's a very beautiful example of subliminal training through virtual input. So again, that's the point where mind can be controlled. So mind control through looping is the second method. So human brain cannot process the word no. Let me prove it by example. So I use the word happy and you think about happy, just a happy face. And I ask you to imagine sad and you can think of the word sad. But if I ask you to imagine not happy, which literally means sad, you will first go to process happy, then not happy. So the word sad and not happy literally means the same thing, but when processed, they create two different inputs. When you say not happy, you create a less severe impact on the brain. But when you use the word sad, you create a very strong impact. So instead of using negative words in front of the patients, try to use non-positive words. The marketing industry does this all the time. So if I say thanda matlab, a lot of people will think Coca-Cola. That's a very good example of subliminal programming using looping. So all these are the methods which are being used by politicians, actors, statesmen all the time. I'm just trying to verbalize into mathematical terms. So this is called looping. And this happens because human brain cannot process the word no. Whenever you use the word no, it has to have a reference. So if I say another example, I say light, and I say dark, and I say not light. So again you see the effect of not light is less severe than darkness. So whenever working with patients going through critical mental disorders or going through mental trauma, try to use non-positive words instead of negative words. So if the conversation has positive and non-positive, it helps for better. So finally, when you are starting to use these kind of language, the mind enters a no-mind state and this results in perfect trust. Like when a mother is working with a child, it's an example of perfect trust. The child is not questioning the mother. This is because the trust has been built, the looping has happened, and the language and the tonality does a lot of work for this. What you say and how you say it is very fine and art. So your tonality, the gap between the words, the stress on the words create a lot of effect on this. So whatever word you give stress on in a statement makes a stronger impact than the words which are not being stressed. So now I am trying to explain the whole process of entering a relaxed state of emotion quotient to the mind levels. So mind is normally in 4 states: beta, alpha, theta and delta. So the normal state of mind is beta, frequency zone 15, 14 to 21 cycles. In this state, you are in a logical state of mind. You are going from cause and effect. Then comes the alpha state. We all enter the alpha state every day just before falling asleep and just after waking up. In this state, you are in a state of sleepish awakeness. So in this state, any suggestion entering your mind works much more fast by bypassing the critical mind. That's why these two states should be perfectly relaxed in the entire day. If you want to really harm someone, try to disturb these two states of the person and you'll see the effect within 30 days. So alpha state is the state which everybody enters and it can be consciously controlled. So try to listen to good music, try to talk to people you like, try to read books or listen to audio conversations which you enjoy in this state. That helps a lot. In ancient times when mothers used to do lullaby for the children and when people used to sing to each other, this state used to be very important. Then comes the theta state. It's much more deeper state. It has 4 to 7 cycles per second. A polar bear enters this state during hibernation. This is much deeper state of consciousness. At that level, the healing happens much more faster. All the critical organs of the body are working much better in this state. And then is the delta state, 0 to 4 Hz. In this state, you are nearly the state of as being in a ventilator or an enlightened person. So from the range of beta to delta, we pass from a normal human being to an enlightened state. If we go to super beta states, that's the start of depression, clinical depression, bipolar disorder, multipolar disorder and schizophrenia. So your mind leads you from madness to enlightenment, and how you guide the mind, that's the process about. So I am coming to definition of meditation. We have been hearing the word yoga and yoga. So first of all, actually the word used to be yoga. If you see the ancient text of Patanjali, The word is yoga and it's defined as Chit Vritti Nirodham Iti Yoga. I will explain each and every word properly. Chit is the most deepest level of consciousness of human mind. So, because the word Chit has come, I will explain the necessary words. So, first is the one, which is set of emotions. Then is Buddhi, which is intellect. Then is Ahankar, which is ego. And then is Chit, which is pure consciousness. All the instinct and all the consciousness is totally in the Chit. Vritti means suggestions or ripples of thoughts. Whatever thought patterns, threads you are going through in mind are the vrittis. So by having a positive vritti, you can have a positive state. Having a negative vritti creates a negative state. Nirodha means control or stoppage. Iti means this, and yoga means the state of yoga. So if I make a correspondence, the delta state of mind is the closest state of yoga. Yoga is not a physical posture. Yoga is not just exercise. Yoga means a state when you are delta state of mind. And then from delta you go to theta, then alpha, then beta. So it's about state of mind. And if your mind is healthy, your body will have to be healthy. So now the question comes of measurement. As I said, you cannot improve something if you cannot measure it. So how will you understand someone is going in a good state of consciousness? So by measuring the breath. So breathing is primarily in simplified form of three types: short and fast, deep and fast, and deep and slow. So when you are doing short and fast breathing, that's the worst kind of breathing. Normally people suffering through several sickness and people going through heavy anxiety go through this kind of breathing. It's short and fast. That means you are making very short level of oxygenation of the brain. The brain is not getting proper oxygen, it's not getting heat properly, and it's not releasing the proper level of carbon dioxide region. Better than that is deep and fast breathing. All the gym trainers, all the people doing any kind of martial arts, sports, they do this kind of breathing. In this breathing, you're earning a lot of oxygenation, but you're spending it also fast. And the best kind of breathing is deep and slow breathing. In deep and slow breathing, you are doing proper oxygenation and you are spending the energy very slow. So if you see the first part of the slide, wherever it is written as short and deep, that's about the amount of energy you are earning or getting inside. When you are saying about fast and slow, that's the amount of energy you are exerting out. So the more you are doing deep breathing, that's more inner energizing. The more you are doing slow outbursts, that's better way of optimum taking out the negative breath or the carbon dioxide. If you see heavy extreme sports like free diving, that's the best example of measuring your breath. So in free diving, you cannot go inside the water and think a lot. Your thoughts, every thought can drain your brain by a critical amount of oxygen. So your oxygen to carbon dioxide conversion happens through your one thought. Your every thought creates a level of oxygen to carbon dioxide conversion. So the more you have thoughts, the lesser amount of energy you have. So try to have more efficient and optimum thoughts than just random thread of thoughts. And how to help get into positive thinking state? The first is your environment. Your association and environment are stronger than you and your habits. If you stay with a particular kind of association, you become that association. If you stay with the scientist, you start developing that skill. If you stay with the thief, you start developing those skills. So whatever you associate with, you become like that. So choose your environment and association very carefully. Your affirmations with meaning affect you a lot. So when with patients, try to use words which can create positive effect. I use a very simple affirmation. Day by day, in every day, you are getting better and better, stronger and stronger, healthier and healthier, happier and happier. Try to do this affirmation 10 to 12 times and see if you can't have a smile. It's very difficult to have this kind of affirmations and not have a smile on your face. So your inner conversation is always happening. You are communicating to the world later. You are first communicating to yourself. If you close your own ears and try to talk, you will not be able to talk much. That means you first talk for yourself and then for others. Affirmation without meanings means pure tonality. That is the kind of tone you use. So softer, beautiful, long pattern tones are better than short and fast outbursts of tones. Sunlight, I don't need to tell anything. It's winter, you can go the variety of sunlight even better right now. Fresh air, again, something very common. Flora and fauna, presence of pets, presence of plants, they help you a lot. And then positive people. Positive people are people who see the whole situation from a positive perspective. I'll give a very simple example. Suppose you go through a loss of 1 lakh of rupees and you are expecting a loss of 1.5 lakhs. So you would be happy. And if you expect a profit of 1.5 lakhs and you get a profit of 1 lakh, you will be sad. So you see the amount of profit and loss is not making a difference. Your expectation is making the difference. So that's why the famous saying, "Jab paristhiti badle, to manusthiti badle." So time of meditation, about the discipline. Try to meditate for a fixed amount of time, whatever it is. Human brain has affinity with 40. Whatever you do for 40 days creates a strong instinct pattern. Whatever you do for 21 days creates a trend. So try to have some time, even 5 or 10 minutes, but make it fixed for that much duration of time. Discipline of occurrence. Try to be at the place where you can follow it. I hope everybody has get some time to meditate in that way. And discipline of starting point. So starting is the most important thing. 50% of the effort has to go on starting something. So the first day of the training in any sports or any discipline is the toughest day. Second day is the second most toughest day, and from third day, trust me, it becomes very easy. And by the time you do it for 21 days, trust me, you have made that friend. So association, as I said, like-minded people is one of the associations. But apart from people, the kind of work you do, the kind of food you eat, and the kind of clothes accessories you have, all of them create a power of association. If you like listening to people who think in dynamic terms, follow that kind of trend. But whatever you are, you have to be like that. If you give the food of tiger to an elephant, elephant will become sick. If you give food of elephant to a tiger, the tiger will get sick. So both are strong animals, but with their own kind of food. So try to find your own home, own kind of association. And again, media is affecting you all the time. So try to connect it. It's actually food. So in yoga, the word pratyahara is basically what is media. So it's like all the sessions of mind happen through media. So try to connect to positive media, and what people see comes from practice. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Yash, for the wonderful presentation. One question I have, just to control, calm our own mind. What is your experience? Because I have seen the different, agencies, different I have their different. You have one has you have to focus on one point. Other has the deep breathing exercises, the one which will help you get this. And third is that we have to 10 days without speaking. We have to stay at one place. So, what is your experience that just for meditation point of view?
So it's basically two-step process. First step is that you have to have a positive frame of mind. So what happens? Meditation is the magnification of last strong thought. So suppose I had an argument with someone, and when I go for 10 days vipassana, it will make further damage. So meditation is not always helpful. It's first you have to go in a positive frame. So use sense of humor for that. Connect to people with whom you feel positive. Something very silly can also make you feel positive. And the second stage is that then you magnify and enhance it. So it's a two-step process, and if this point continues on the same point, so you have to understand the points when we say the word yoga. So yam is basically your attitude, niyam is the discipline, asana is again the strong body-mind attitude, pranayam is breath control, pratyahara is internalization of mind, dharana is concentration, dhyan is effortless concentration, samadhi is amalgamation. So try to amalgamate with what makes you feel better, and that's the process.
Just one question. Like you said, deep and slow breathing, right?
Yeah.
So that is what all pranayamas normally indicate.
Yeah.
But then they say deep breathe, hold it, and exhale slowly.
Yeah.
So what is the impact of this hold on roller point?
Okay, so this is a very technical question. So I will just put a Sanskrit word and an English word. So any kind of breath has four parts. The first part is called pura, which is inhale. The second part is called kumbha, which is retention. The third part is called recha, which is exhale. And the fourth part is called keval kumbha, which is basically state of delta mind or enlightenment. So these four parts create an entire breath cycle. In normal people, keval kumbha is for a very small dimension. This creates cavalry or enlightenment.
So the only longer your breath.
Yeah.
So what impact does it have on the